Hello, everybody. James Bichelle here, and I'm here to bring you my initial thoughts on the new FX show, The Bastard Executioner. It comes on Tuesday nights at 10 p.m. on the FX channel. And I'm sure you've seen plenty of promotion for this show and, commercials and stuff. And your first thought was probably the same as mine. That show looks like Game of Thrones, I'll check it out. So I did. And these are my initial thoughts. The first 15 minutes, I gotta be honest with you guys, I almost turned it off. I did not really like this episode in the first 15 minutes. And I thought it looked to me, it started off, I was like, man, it's kind of cheesy, it's a little, the visuals, but I implore you to stick with it, because it does get good. I'm not going to give this, when I review things, probably not going to give things a rating, because rating things or giving something of a monetary value is subjective, in my opinion. So I will not do that. I will just tell you my thoughts, how I felt about it, and then you can make your decision based on that, whether to check it out or not. So here's some of the things that happened in the first 15 minutes that was kind of like a Game of Thrones copy, kind of like they're ripping it off. The minor spoilers, nothing huge. The show starts off, it's set in 14th century Wales, but the first sequence is set 5 years prior to the actual show. So the main character, he's in a battle for the English military. He's a knight, and there's a lot of fighting going on, and he got wounded, and he's sort of having this dream sequence, and you see a CGI dragon. This dragon looked like crap, and I was like, please don't do that again, show, and they don't, so that's good. It kind of reminded me of the CW. I don't want to bag on the CW, but I mean, it's the CW. There was like a random girl walking on the battlefield with her ass hanging out. Like, she was completely naked, and her ass, they had a nice close-up ass shot. It served no purpose. Like, it wasn't even mentioned, or no one even talked to the person. She was just walking around the battlefield ass naked. It made no sense. He's having this dream sequence with this angelic girl figure that pops up in the show, and she has silver curly hair, or silver hair in general, long silver hair, very akin to Miss Daenerys Stormborn. There's a random sex scene thrown in, like in the 8-minute mark. It was like 3 seconds long, and it served no purpose. So there's that. And to top it off, the caveat, as they say, is there was a guy getting flayed in front of a kid. That was fun. Ramsay Bolton much? Anyway, that being said, after I really think that they were trying to hook people in with the Game of Thrones aspect. Obviously Game of Thrones is a very popular show, and they're trying to get into that market, so they were trying to throw in some things that may excite some people. It didn't excite me. I thought it was like, I would rather them do an original concept, which it ends up it essentially becomes that afterwards. The general synopsis of the show so far was that it was centered around a group of Welsh farmers in the 14th century, like I said earlier. And there's a baron and his lackey, and they're taxing these farmers. And no one likes taxes. I'm an accountant, I don't like taxes. So they're getting overtaxed. So the Welsh farmers want to rebel against the standing noble citizens of England, because they're getting taxed and they don't want to get taxed. There's a scene with the Welsh farmers, and I'll go into the main character, played by Lee Jones. And his name was, one second, I'll pull it up. His name was Wilkin Brattle. That's right. And I thought he did a pretty good job. The actor is relatively unknown, as far as I know. When I looked him up, I couldn't find any credits. But he actually reminded me of Jim from The Office. He kind of looks like him. But so he's the guy in the beginning, and he's the soldier he's the knight that got injured, and he sees an angelic vision tell him to put down his arms and become a man of peace or whatever. And so he does. He becomes a peaceful man. But him and a group of Welsh farmers, minor spoiler, have to go and attack this group of the tax collector and his group of soldiers around him because they don't want to get taxed. So when they go and attack the force, the main character, Wilkin, actually uses a shillelagh, a big-ass wooden club. You know, he doesn't want to kill anybody. And it troubles him when he sees people dying. Anyway, after that, something occurs, and it starts this whole new arc that happens in the show, around 50 minutes. It really picked up. It got really good after that, after the spark that happened, the impetus of the plot, as you will. So, if you can wait around to then, the last hour of the show, like I said, it's a 2-hour pilot. So, first 50 minutes was kind of, the first 20 minutes was like, man. 20 to 50 minute mark was like, 50 to the last part of the episode was like, So there, that's my rating system, guys. So, but yeah, it lacks subtlety. That's one of my criticisms of the show is it lacks subtlety. So, you know who the bad guys are. No doubt. You know who the assholes are. You know who are the good guys. So, if you like subtlety like Game of Thrones, you know, the gray area characters, there's no gray. There's good, and then there's fucked up. And you'll be able to pick that up pretty quickly. Stephen Moyer is in the show. Katie Sagal, of course, from Married with Children. And Futurama. And Sons of Anarchy. So, there you go. I mean, and the other actors, I really didn't know anybody, but there was no terrible performances. There was no one of like Stephen Delane and Charles Dance's, capabilities, but no one brought it down. There was no terrible performance that I could point to and say, yeah, that guy sucked. It is what it is. I'd say it's pretty good for a show that's on normal television, FX, I'd like to see A&E maybe pick up something like this. That'd be interesting. With their track record of Mad Men and Breaking Bad, I'd like to see them get into the fantasy genre or historical fiction. But like I said, this is a historical fiction show. There's some supernatural elements. I'd like to see how they go in the future. But we'll see. I thought it was a good show. One thing I'll bring up, gobs and gobs of violence. Lots of it. Guy gets his head kicked in, gets his head smashed in with a boot kind of violence. So, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Am I crazy? If you guys watch the show, am I crazy from what I'm saying? Did you pick up on what I'm saying? Let me know what you think. And I will write something back. Whenever you write me a comment, I will write something back for the most part. Hit rate. Rate it, like it, subscribe. And I want to thank the people that have subscribed to me recently. I really appreciate that. It's an honor and a privilege, as they say. So, there you go, guys. I will leave my Twitter description I'll leave my Twitter handle in the description. I will have a Stannis video out in the future. I want to really take my time with it because, like this one, I'm going to leave unedited, and I'm going to use my new editing software I got, and I will use it on the next video. So, and up the production value. Once again, like, subscribe, leave me a comment, and that's all I got, guys. See you later.